Come on in, you guys. We've got a brand new episode of Jimmy Rants in store for you here today. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, if you want to engage live in the content, you really got to go follow me over on Instagram. I am at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you are there, you can engage live in the content. We have a really good time over here on Instagram, but we also let the fun spread over to my Facebook page. So thank you guys for being here today as well. And thank you to YouTube Live. Thank you guys for watching on the YouTube Live feed. So thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live over here on Instagram, they do keep it up for 24 hours. After 24 hours, they do make it disappear. That's when we put all the archived videos over at JimmyRants.com. We also put them up over on YouTube in archived form. I think we're approaching 500 episodes now of Jimmy Rants. So go check it out over at YouTube. Type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. All right, guys. So today I have a really cool topic because I think a lot of people struggle with this more than they want to admit. And sometimes in the course of being healthy, we put a heavy emphasis on diet, as we should. Your diet does have a lot to do with your health. We put a lot of emphasis on exercise, and again, we should. Physical movement is a critical part of your health. And maybe we give a little bit of lip service to things like controlling stress and other factors. But this one that I'm going to talk about here today is something a lot of people struggle with, and they don't realize the profound impact that it plays, good or bad, on their overall health. And it's your sleep. How is your sleep? Are you sleeping well? Is this something that you have prioritized in your health journey? Because all of us want to brag about, I'm on the paleo diet, I'm on carnivore, I'm on keto. You're so proud of your diet. And maybe you're doing that diet and you're seeing a modicum of success. And then other people try those exact same diets and they struggle. And usually when people struggle on any given diet, it's not the diet itself, it's the other factors that are involved. And yes, stress is a big part of those, but sleep is probably the most devalued part of your health. And most people don't really give a second thought to it. We kind of pay lip service, try to get good sleep. Try to be in bed for 8 hours, rest up. We do all the kind of placations of this topic, but we don't really dig into why do we have trouble with sleep and what are the ramifications of sleep. I remember when I first started reading about some of the studies, and there's lots of really good research about sleep, you guys. Some of the studies about sleep, that just one bad night of sleep, like if your sleep was just really whacked, and you did not get good sleep, did you know that automatically puts your body in a state of insulin resistance? What? Did you know that? Sleep is one of those things that if you don't prioritize it, it could be this missing element in your journey as to why you're not healthy. Okay? So you could have all the right nutrition in the world, all the right movement, you're doing things to try to help with stress, but if you're not making your sleep environment as optimal as it could possibly be, then don't be surprised when your health suffers. And sleep is not just a matter of just laying down and hoping you get a little bit of rest. No, there are definite specific things that happen recovery-wise in your body when you are sleeping. And I will tell you some of my secrets. I got a great story to talk about 11 things that interfere with your sleep. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But before we start, I want to tell you some of the things I do for my sleep. Because I track my sleep. I wear this ring. They're not a sponsor or anything. I just love the data that I get from it. It's called the Oura, O-U-R-A. You could go look it up on Google if you want to get one. But it is a biohacking ring that basically tracks the 4 stages of sleep. Awake, light sleep, REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement, and deep sleep. And what you're looking for is a lot of REM and a lot of deep. If you get combined REM and deep to be over 50% of your total sleep for the night, then you had pretty good sleep. And so I track my data, and over here on Instagram, on my stories, I pretty much on a daily basis for the past like 3 or 4 weeks have been doing my daily update of my sleep. A couple of nights ago, I had the best sleep I've had in a while. It was a sleep score of 92, and I had over 2 hours each of REM and deep. It comprised 66% of my total sleep. I have dialed in my sleep. So let me tell you some of the things that I do to help with my personal sleep. The first one's going to be really weird because you're like, what in the world does that have to do with getting good quality sleep? But you'd be surprised. When it is daylight, and right now I'm looking out my window back there, it is sunny outside. When it's daylight, you need to be getting sun in your eyes. No, you're not staring at the sun, but that light going into your eyeballs tells your brain, dummy, it's the daytime. So it's kind of putting a timer in your head that tells you what time of day it is. And of course, you don't just do that willy-nilly. You're doing it at specific times of the day. So early in the morning, when you see the sun rising, try to get out there and get that exposure of that angle of the sun. Then somewhere around noon, again, go out. It's going to be a little bit higher at that point. And again, you're not looking right at the sun, but you're letting the sun get into your eyeballs. Then somewhere around maybe 4 o'clock, same thing. And then as the sun is setting, here it's setting right around like 8 o'clock, get it at that point. And I sit in my hot tub and the sun sets right in front of where my hot tub is facing. So it's pretty cool. So you get those 4 focal points of your eyeballs and you get your circadian rhythm, pow, on. And I tell you, I am so sleepy as that sun is going down that it's time to hit the bed. And within minutes of being in bed, I am out like a light. So that's one thing that I specifically do to help with my sleep. Another thing that I do is in the bedroom where I sleep, I try to make it as dark as possible. So if you don't have blackout curtains, if you don't have something that kind of puts the light away, you need to do that. And this includes alarm clocks. Number one, don't have an alarm clock. Try to figure out how to wake up without an alarm clock. I haven't used an alarm clock in probably a decade, maybe a little longer than that. But even the light that emanates from an alarm clock, maybe like a charger, if you're using a charger or something, you can see a little light. Get all the lights covered up, and that helps. You also want to make the environment very cold. So at nighttime, last night I didn't have to do this, but at nighttime I usually turn the air conditioning on like 65 and get it really cold in the bedroom. And it's because your body temperature actually affects your sleep as well. And so you want to get your body temperature as cool as possible, which again, the Oura Ring does track your body temp at night. If you're having trouble going to sleep, one of the hacks that I think is really great is not taking melatonin. Melatonin is an emergency, last second kind of thing if nothing else is working. Because if you take too much melatonin, and I made this mistake, if you take too much melatonin, your body stops making melatonin and you become kind of dependent on that to go to sleep. Don't do that. Instead, about an hour before bedtime, have some magnesium oxide or magnesium glycinate. Try to avoid the magnesium citrate unless you like poopy pants. And about an hour before bedtime, and that will help you with your sleep. All right, so that's just a few of the tools that I do. I also wear blue blocker glasses as it starts to get darker at night. There's just all kind of little tips and tricks that you can do. Kirk Parsley is a guy that I've had on the Livin' La Vida Low Carb show. If you go to llvlc.com, type in Kirk Parsley, just like the spice parsley, you will find my interview with him. He's a sleep expert, and he has like a little formulation that he created with a company that he started that has a mixture of magnesium and various things. Valerian root, I believe, is another thing that's in there. That could help you sleep. I know some people like to use like essential oil lavender on the bottoms of their feet. I think lavender smells too powdery, so I can't handle that. But some people like that, and it's relaxing. Playing silent music, quiet music. Don't play silent music. It would be non-existent. Play soft music at night. And then the other thing, turn your lights down low. And we're going to get into some of these things that interfere with your sleep. But as you can see from my list of sleep tricks, it's helpful to kind of set yourself up for a win when you lay your head down on the pillow. Because if you're not doing this ahead of time, don't be surprised if you have trouble. All right. I definitely want to hear your tips for how you sleep well, if you sleep well. And hopefully for those of you that don't sleep well, that helped. But let's talk about, and this is from Psychology Today, 11 things that can interfere with your sleep. From anxiety to diet, there's a variety of reasons that you might be struggling with sleep. Reasons that could affect you at any point throughout the year. Because it's not just about setting aside time for sleep. There are also a number of issues that could be interfering with your ability to fall asleep and then stay asleep long enough to complete the 4 stages of sleep. One thing that I also do is I titrate down on my liquids by somewhere around 4 or 5 o'clock. And I don't have caffeine if I have any caffeine at all. I don't have caffeine after like 1 o'clock. I just don't allow it because I know it will keep me up. And I also try not to eat late because I know from the URA data, every time I eat after 6 p.m., I almost invariably have a bad night's sleep. But if I eat before 6 p.m., my sleep is fine. Kind of interesting, right? All right. So you need to stay asleep long enough to complete the 4 stages of sleep. That's why I wanted to give you a quick rundown of these 11 major reasons that you may be having a hard time getting a good night's sleep. Poor sleep contributes to a number of health issues, things like heart disease and stroke, and these should not be overlooked. If you're waking up feeling tired, irritable, and suffering from brain fog, please be mindful of these potential triggers. Like I said, the big shocker was when I started looking at the research on this, guys. 1 bad night of sleep makes you insulin resistant. And you're thinking, how in the world would you be insulin resistant just because sleep is off? But it's that powerful. Like, think about all the hormonal pathways that are interconnected. I'm sure cortisol plays a role in that. And cortisol going up and as a result of you not sleeping well. And then blood sugar is impacted. Insulin is impacted. Ghrelin, the next day, ghrelin goes crazy and makes you hungrier. So then you eat more, and then that eating more, and typically it's more of a really bad thing because your body's craving that. You see how it's all interconnected because you had a messed up night of sleep. All right, so let's take a look at these 11 things. Number 1 is your temperature. Temperature matters. Like I said a while ago, I put my air conditioner on 65 at night. Last night it got down to 35 degrees here, so I knew I'm not turning on the air because it's already going to be cold outside. And sure enough, I have a fan blowing on me, and then it was cold outside, and this morning it was frigid in the bed area. So if your body gets too warm at night, you're going to have a hard time getting into a REM cycle. So REM is where you dream. And REM is where a lot of restorative stuff happens in your brain. Now, deep is also helpful for that, but REM is really where the brain recovery starts to happen. And of course, you guys know my brain never stops working. So 90,000 to nothing all the time. So getting good REM is a priority for me. REM and deep, I like to get about 2 hours each of REM and deep each night. If I hit 2 hours each, I know, oh my gosh, I had incredible sleep. At the very least, you want a combined of the two around 3 to 4 hours. You want at least 3 to 4 hours, combination of REM and deep. The optimum room temperature for sleeping is around 65 degrees. That's where I keep mine all the time. For my international friends, that's about 18 degrees Celsius. So make sure that you turn the thermostat down before you go to bed. You know what I sometimes do is I will get in the shower, and I know a lot of people do this, get in the shower and turn it on cold. But you get like a little bit of cold thermogenesis, and it already starts to lower your body temperature. And don't laugh, Something else that could help is get into an ice bath. I have done ice baths. I know it's shocking to hear ice bath. What are you talking about? Getting in a bathtub full of ice? Yes, that is what I'm saying. And it will make you sleep like a baby. What's funny is when you come out of an ice bath, you're actually warm. People are like, warm? You should be freezing to death. You're freezing in that initial minute, but then after a minute, your body is adapting to it being colder. And so thus that colder does not feel colder anymore. Your body's actually getting warmer on the inside, trying to counterbalance some of that. But it does lower the overall body temperature so that you sleep like a baby. Try it, guys. Get into the bathtub, dump a 20-pound bag of ice in there, and it's going to shock you for the first minute. But after that, you're not going to want to get out. You're not. And then try to go to sleep, and you watch how deeply you will sleep. Another thing to keep in mind is your personal body temperature, which is what we've been talking about. Your body operates a process called thermoregulation on a 24-hour circadian rhythm, circadian cycle that allows it to adjust your core temperature. So a lower body temperature at night will help you fall asleep quick and then stay asleep longer. So if you're one of those people that struggles going to sleep, getting to sleep, and you're just lying there and you don't feel like you're ever going to get to sleep, try a cold shower, try an ice bath, do something to lower your body temperature at night. You never thought about that, did you? That your body temperature could play such a role, but it does. If you're joining us late, we're talking about 11 reasons why your sleep is whacked and then what you can do about it. So the first one was your body temperature and the temperature in the room where you're sleeping. Number 2, everyday concerns, whether it's a big report that's due at work, a recent fight with your significant other, or a frustration over having to pay a few $100 to fix an unexpected car repair, the hurdles we run into in everyday life can significantly affect your sleep. What that is the big S word, stress. So if you're stressed, what are you doing to deal with the stress? Because stress is going to be there. Stress in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's how you handle that stress. So one of the things that I love to do when I get stressed is I just pause, I close my eyes, and I take deep breaths through my nose. And then exhale out the mouth. And sometimes I'll do 10 or 12 of those. And a sense of relaxation comes over your body. It is so amazing. Just the simple act of breathing, being deliberate about knowing and feeling that breath, it calms things down. And so your body, what you're trying to do when you're stressed, you're in this thing called a sympathetic state. You're trying to transition your body over to what's called a parasympathetic state, which is a non-stressed state. And you want that balance. And so if you find yourself getting a little stressed and you're worried about things and you're having trouble trying to get that rest at night because your brain's going 9-0, deep breathing helps a whole lot. Also meditation. A lot of people look at meditation and think it's kind of woo-woo. There is a lot of great science. I remember last year on one of my podcasts, I read a news story about the CEO of Twitter. His name is Jack Dorsey. And Jack does a lot of fasting and does a lot of biohacking. And one of the things he does is meditation. Want to know how long he meditates a day? This is the CEO of one of the biggest social media platforms out there. He meditates for 2 hours a day. That's right. That's how important it is to him to manage his stress. Of course, light exercise can also manage stress. There's so many ways to deal with stress. Yoga is another popular one. But the point is, if you're doing nothing, then it's time to start doing something so that these everyday concerns don't impact your sleep. And the bottom line is you don't want them impacting your sleep because you need your sleep. So if stress is overcoming you, it's time for you to fight back, okay? Number 3, And a lot of you are going to throw stuff at the screen over this one. Alcohol consumption. All right, I just lost half of you. So the author of this story says, I'm not a big drinker. Still, I certainly understand the appeal of a nice glass of wine to unwind after work, or a couple of beers sitting back and watching the game at night. At the same time, millions of people turn to alcohol at night as their way to go to sleep. 20% of Americans rely on it to help them fall asleep. Oh my gosh. 1 in 5 people drink alcohol to knock themselves out at night? Where have I been? I have never heard that statistic before. But I suppose in our needing to be desensitized to the stresses of our day, that is one way to do it. Wow. 1 in 5 people. So that means 1 in 5 of you watching this right now, you are just absolute drunks at night so you could go to sleep. Of course, some people also use things like NyQuil. And I have in my past used cough medicine. What is it? Tylenol Cold? Like the little blue stuff. This is a long time ago. But the little blue stuff, because it had some kind of a sleep aid in it. And now NyQuil actually has a version that's specifically as a sleep aid. I think they call it Z or something. I don't know. But people use alcohol to help them sleep. But drinking, especially as you get closer to sleep time, actually can do more harm than good. Alcohol's negative effect on sleep is undeniable. While it may help you fall asleep quickly, in the second half of your sleep cycle, your sleep will become disrupted. So it's okay that you want to fall asleep fast, but don't you want to stay asleep later in the sleep cycle? And see, according to my Oura results, I always look at the data, and almost invariably the pattern is early on you get deep sleep, and then later on in the evening you get that recovery REM sleep we were talking about for your brain. So if you don't get that final end of the cycle, yeah, you get the deep sleep early, but if you don't finish with REM, it's incomplete repair in your body. And so you want to get all the complete repair, and drinking alcohol will knock you out, but it won't help you stay asleep later. All right, number 4, and this should be a well duh, caffeine. Like I told you earlier, I titrate down on caffeine by about 1 o'clock because I don't want any caffeine to disrupt my sleep at night. Perhaps the most obvious one on this list is caffeine. Caffeine and coffee in particular are both stimulants. This opens you up to a number of side effects that will hamper sleep, including restlessness. So if you've got caffeine in the system, you'll toss and turn and toss and turn and toss and turn. Stomach cramps. Do you get stomach cramps because of caffeine? I don't, but I know people that do. So, tears you up. Frequent urination, that one's an obvious one, partly because a lot of the drinks that you have that have caffeine in it are diuretics, and so it makes you drink more water, and thus drinking more water, you have to pee a lot. And then finally, an elevated heart rate, which if your heart rate, which this also measures heart rate as well as heart rate variability while you're sleeping. And so an elevated heart rate is hard to kind of get calm. My heart rate stays somewhere in like the low 50s when I'm sleeping. When I first go to sleep, it's like upper 50s, maybe low 60s. And then by the time you could see the graph on the Oura Ring app where your heart rate goes down, 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 down. Now, what's really fascinating is it's at its lowest when you're doing your most restorative sleep. So if you're getting that REM late, that's when you see that heart rate go down as that REM. So it's like almost as if your body says, finally, you got the heart rate low enough. Now we can start working on repairing your body. Number 5, sleep apnea. This is one of the leading causes of interrupted sleep. It affects about 12% of Americans, but about 80% of those suffering from sleep apnea go undiagnosed. Now that's interesting. So here are the symptoms of sleep apnea. Snoring, which can be worsened when you drink alcohol with it. So if you've got sleep apnea and you drink alcohol, your spouse will not like you very well. Excessive daytime fatigue. So if you're really, really tired during the day, that's a sign that you have sleep apnea. And it makes sense. If you don't sleep well at night, you're going to be really tired during the day. Trouble concentrating, again, a product of not getting good rest. Memory problems, again, a product of not getting good rest. Mood swings, which a lot of times people devalue sleep and its ability to keep your mood stable. If you're one of these hotheads or one of these people has lots of emotional swings in your mood, maybe you should get checked out for sleep apnea. Or maybe you're not putting enough value on the sleep that you are getting to know that it's affecting your mood. And then finally, headaches. If you're battling some of those symptoms throughout the night, you should get looked into getting tested for sleep apnea in the near future. Is this an interesting list, guys? I thought these reasons were really well. And this next one's going to be interesting because they got a few things wrong, but in general, I agree. Number 6 is your diet. A midnight snack is one of life's great joys. I don't snack, so it's not one of my great joys. But don't go overboard, they say. Higher fats and calorie consumption at night has been shown to make it harder for both men and women to get into a REM sleep. Avoid big meals right before you go to sleep. So I'll agree with that last point. Avoid the big meal before you go to bed. But higher fat and calories? Okay. I don't think it's the fat and calories. But that said, I agree with the overall point of try to avoid the eating at night. What I found for me is I got to cut off eating pretty much 3 hours before bedtime. So for me, that's 5 o'clock. I go to bed at 8 o'clock, 8:30, and then I'm up at like 3:30 or 4. So stopping eating at 5 o'clock is almost a must for me. If I eat too much later than that, I will almost invariably mess up my sleep. Now, it's not the fat and it's not the calories. It's just my body has to digest that food when I eat it beyond 5 o'clock. And the digestion of food can interrupt your sleep. So people don't think about this. Like when we do the low carb cruise each year, they always ask, you want the early dining or the late dining? Now, what time's the late dining? 8 o'clock at night. 8 o'clock at night, sheesh. On the low carb cruise, I do stay up a little bit later, but I'm like 8 o'clock. Oh my gosh, that is so late because by the time you get your food, it's usually 9:30. And yeah, that's no bueno. Like I don't do well eating that late. So usually we go the early dining, which is around 5:30 or 6. And it's much better. But avoid the big meal. Do you get a big meal late and you're having trouble sleeping? Now maybe you see that there might be a correlation there between those two things. Number 7, anxiety and depression. Is anybody anxious or depressed right now for any reason? I can't think of any reason why you could be anxious or depressed. Oh yeah, COVID-19. Mental health is closely linked to sleep. Anxiety or depression can lead to interruptions in your sleep pattern, which will make it increasingly difficult to reach REM sleep. Talk to your doctor if you think you're suffering from either of these issues. A game plan to treat anxiety or depression can help you get better sleep. Don't talk to your doctor about it. I mean, yeah, okay, fine. He's going to give you a prescription drug to try to help with sleep. He'll probably give you a sleep aid drug and maybe some kind of anti-anxiety medication, but that's not the issue here. Talk to a mental health therapist. Talk to someone who can help you figure out why you're anxious, why you're depressed. I think sometimes we jump to the, well, I have this issue, so thus there's a medication I need to be taking that a doctor... No. Sometimes you're anxious and depressed because you're eating the wrong diet. Sometimes you're anxious and depressed because you've got unresolved issues from your past, PTSD, childhood trauma, something that's causing that and triggering you. And ain't no doctor going to figure out what your triggers are, but a mental health therapist can. And I want to destigmatize going to see a mental health therapist. I have been seeing a life coach since August. I hired her right before the sabbatical began for me in September, and she's been wonderful. And she is a licensed therapist who does life coaching, and she has been wonderful for me, helping me work through some of my own childhood trauma things. If you're not already talking to someone on a professional level, and you know you have anxiety and depression, some other kind of mental health things going on, don't be the hero and think you're going to fix it on your own. Get some help. Let me tell you from firsthand experience, it's been a godsend for me, and I know it could help so many other people as well. All right, number 8, exercise. Exercising is great. I would never tell patients to shy away from a good workout, but depending on your body clock, again, that circadian rhythm, it might not be the best idea for you to exercise 1 hour before you go to bed. See, this is something people don't understand. They're like, I gotta get in my workout. And so after work, I go home and I eat and spend time with the family, and then I'll go down to the gym. Well, you can't go to the gym now, but then I'll go work out, whatever you're doing, and then I'll come home and go to bed. What you don't realize is when you work out, you're turning on a lot of hormones in your body. You're releasing a whole lot of things going on in the body that when you come home and you're trying to relax, your body's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We're still working out. Long after you've done pump and iron, we're still in workout mode. People don't think about that their body is still in that mode of working out long after you've stopped. Your heart rate takes a while to come down. Your muscles are still contracting and doing all the things that you did when you were lifting. It's not the process of lifting, it's the time after as well. That's why I'm a big fan of morning workouts, much more so than evening ones. Now, if that's the only time you can do it and you fitted it within your schedule and you don't have any disruption in your sleep, fine. But a lot of people do have disruptions in their sleep because they work out too close to bedtime. The best time to be physically active depends on your chronotype, so you want to have that nailed down before figuring out your gym plan. So figure that out. I know for me personally, working out in the mornings tends to be best for me. I can also tell you that if I work out later in the day, the muscle ache and soreness is so rough that can disrupt trying to go to sleep, because it's hard to sleep when you're in pain from the muscle soreness, the delayed onset muscle soreness. Now, of course, once you're kind of into a routine, that DOMS is not as bad, but if you're just starting and you have delayed onset muscle soreness hit and you're trying to sleep and your muscles are going, ah! Did I just scare some people? Scared my cat over there. She jumped a mile when I did that. But be mindful of that. Next one, your phone, number 9. Harvard researchers have found that blue light, something that comes out of your mobile screen, throws the body off kilter. Instead of helping your mind and body wind down, your phone stimulates your brain and thus makes it tougher for you to get a good night's sleep. Are you one of those people that's got your phone in your face at night? I can tell you I stop looking at a screen no later than 6 o'clock. 6 is the last time I'm looking at a phone. So if somebody's texting me after 6 o'clock or emailing me or posting something on social media, I'm not looking at it until the next morning when I wake up. And so screen time can mess up your circadian rhythm as well. Because think about it, the blue light coming out of these devices is going right into your eyeballs, and it's telling your brain, oh, it must be daytime. Oh, okay, we should stay awake now. Oh, okay, let's keep the melatonin at bay. Don't let that kick in yet. It's serotonin time. And so you're not telling your brain it's nighttime. It's why at night, why I turn all the lights down low, and I don't have hardly any lights on, and I'm not looking at any devices. And that's a good rule of reference, you guys. Don't let that blue light impact your sleep. It can be fun to lay in bed and scroll through Instagram or read a quick article before you call it a night, but those minutes on your phone might cost you sleep later in the night. So instead, pull out a good old-fashioned book, limit your phone time in the hour before you fall asleep. Again, for me, it's a couple of hours. You can also wear those blue light blocking glasses at least 90 minutes before bedtime. I have some that I wear. My sleep has been so good lately, I haven't had to wear them because the sleep is really good. But if I find myself slipping on the sleep, then that's the first thing I do is put those back on again. Number 10, Naps. Do you take a nap? I liken naps to snacking. So in your diet, people are like, oh, what do you eat for snacks? I'm like, I don't snack. Oh, what do you mean you don't snack? Everybody snack. No, I don't snack. I eat my meals, and they're plenty satiating, and I don't have to eat until my next meal. So same with naps. If you're napping, you're snacking on your sleep. And so you don't need a nap. A 20-minute nap in the afternoon can help you tackle the rest of the day to get an extra burst of energy. It can be hard to wake up from a little siesta once you're comfortable, but you don't want to nap for too long. Taking too much of a break during the daytime can throw your body off and make it that much harder for you to fall asleep at night. So if you're napping during the daytime, then that could be why you're having trouble sleeping at night. Suddenly it's hot in here and I'm getting coughing fits. Sorry about that, guys. The last one is insomnia. Anybody just kind of at night, you're just wide awake? And I can tell you many times I do wake up in the middle of the night and I feel like I'm wide awake. That's called insomnia. You may be dealing with this, and it can be amplified by several of the things that we've talked about already, such as alcohol, napping, and a poor sleep environment. If insomnia is persistent, you should go see a sleep specialist to try to determine the cause. So, what do you think about that list? That's pretty darn good, right? I do know from a diet perspective, sometimes people, when they lay down, also, and especially the kinds of foods that you eat, you may feel a burning come back up through the esophagus laying down, and so it goes up in your throat, and it becomes a disruption in your ability to sleep. There's all kinds of things that interrupt, but I thought this list of 11 things was pretty darn good. And if you joined us late, at the very beginning, I gave you some of my tips about how to sleep better and things that you can do. I definitely want to see what you guys do to help with your own sleep. So welcome in, welcome in. We're going to start with Instagram Live here first. Then we'll pop over here to Facebook Live, and then finally over on YouTube. So thank you all for being here today. JimmyRants.com is the website if you want to engage in the show. All right, Anita, finally caught you live. I'm not getting notifications. Well, I'm sorry about that. I don't know why you're not getting notifications. Beth says there was a study done with sleep-deprived soldiers. After 3 days, otherwise metabolically well men became pre-diabetic. Yeah, it doesn't take long for that insulin resistance to kick in and basically become almost diabetic. It's pretty amazing. Shars Walford says, yeah, a cold shower before bedtime is so good. Yes. Do I use a CPAP? No, I don't have trouble breathing. So no, I do not have sleep apnea. Linda says, darn, doing office paperwork, so we'll have to watch later. We'll watch later. That's why we do these shows and why we stick them over on YouTube and JimmyRants.com. Melissa says some people need those medications because it's genetic. I'm not so sure that sleep disorders are all genetic. I know some people may have a predisposition for having trouble with some of these pathways that allow for sleep, but I'm not going to buy that some people necessarily need the meds. I just think they're not given the proper advice, just like with everything else that we talk about. You know, people don't go to the doctor and expect to get really good diet advice if they are overweight, for example, and yet they get diet advice. Is it the right diet advice? Most of the time not, and yet they get it. I wonder, some of those people that think they need the medication in order to sleep, they're being told it's genetic, but it's not genetic at all. So, hello, Lone Star Keto Girl. Thanks for being here. All right, thank you, Instagram. We're going to pop over here to my Facebook page, and then we'll pop over to YouTube next. Hello, guys. What's going on? Let's see what you guys have to say about this topic of sleep and some reasons why you have trouble. Norma says, what's sleep? I do naps. Well, that might be a reason why sleep is not so good, Norma. As we just said, one of the reasons why sleep can be elusive for some people is you're napping too much. So that's food for thought. Janet says, you just keep speaking about things that I need. Well, good. I try to keep my finger on the pulse of what I think people need to hear. And of course, this is stuff in the news as well. And I always have things I want to talk about. So I'm glad that it's striking a chord for you. I take melatonin every night and have for years. Well, when you do that, you're kind of telling your body, okay, body's ability to make melatonin, we don't need you anymore. I used to take a pretty high dose liquid melatonin because I was having massive sleep issues right at about a decade ago. And I would just take that stuff and it would knock me out. And for a little while, I would have pretty good sleep. But then I'd use that same dose and it wouldn't do anything for me. And then I literally had to come completely off the melatonin, get my body and do some of the things like the entraining my circadian rhythm with the sunlight and other things before my body started producing melatonin naturally. I kind of get this kicking in of the melatonin about 6:30 at night. And I can feel it because I start getting sleepy. And then by 8 o'clock, 8:30, I'm ready to be asleep. And so my body has become trained to do that naturally. That's the melatonin that's kicking in. So I get it. You feel like you need it. Trust me, I was right there with you. But your body needs to be producing the melatonin, not taking it artificially through a supplement. What kind of magnesium did you say? So magnesium oxide or magnesium glycinate. Those are the two that will not be disruptive to your gastrointestinal system. If you get magnesium citrate, you might get poopy pants. So just be aware of that. Norma says, I worked the night shift for 15 years. One doctor told me it was slow suicide. Never been able to sleep since. I've been off the night shift, tried a lot, but willing to try more. I can fall asleep, but sleep 2 hours, and then I'm wide awake. Yeah, that is a tough one that a lot of people do deal with, is the night shift. It's brutal because the body is not naturally on a circadian rhythm where it's nighttime and you're wide awake, and it's daytime and you're supposed to be sleeping. So I feel your pain. I understand what you're saying, but hopefully some of the things we talked about here today could possibly help you. Kelly says, I'm getting good sleep with my carnivore diet. Well, true. When you're eating well, your body controls all those things that would be disruptive hormonally in your body. So when you keep insulin low, when you keep blood sugar low, when you keep inflammation levels low, and then you do all the things that we talked about earlier, your body's going to be in a good position to get really good rest. So I'm glad it's working for you, Kelly. Maria says, when I can't sleep because I'm cold, I take a hot shower and then I fall asleep way better, especially in the middle of the night. Thank you for mentioning that. If you're cold-natured and so you're already cold-ish as it is, yes, hot shower could work as well. I've sometimes done that. So I guess it's different strokes for different folks, that's for sure. Heather says, mommy wine culture is so strong. Yes. Spoken like a true mommy, I'm sure. Caffeine never used to keep me up, but as I've gotten closer to 40, it seems to have a much stronger effect and keeps me from sleeping a lot longer. So you know that about yourself. Now you can do something about it. Keto cured me of being a 40-year insomniac. Tammy, that is wonderful. And again, for the same reasons with the person that said about carnivore doing that for them. You've lowered insulin, lowered inflammation, lowered blood sugar. All of that under control helps you sleep like a baby. All righty. Thank you, Facebook. Now let's pop over to my YouTube Live. What's up, guys? I'll pull you in a little bit closer so I can see your comments. All right. They don't make it as easy to see the comments as they do on the other formats. All right, let's see. Hello from London. Hey, Elizabeth. Hello from Philly, says Kate. It's funny how we are all so different. Working out in the afternoon makes me fall asleep fast. Oh, that's cool. When I work out in the morning before work, I'm dragging my feet. Oh, that's really interesting. Thank you for that, Helrisa. Shirley says, what I've discovered since starting IF, which is intermittent fasting, is when I eat later than 5 or 6, I toss and turn. Since being mindful, doing keto for 1.5 years, my sleep has been great. That is cool. Unless my 2-year-old has late night opinions. Yes, 2-year-olds have a great propensity for sharing opinions at inappropriate times of the night. I don't have that experience in my life yet, but Maybe someday I will get nagged by a 2-year-old who wants to tell me all the ins and outs of what's inside the butthole. I shared that video over here on Instagram the other day. Cute little girl. She made a little song. What's inside your butthole? I really want to know. Nobody cares. Thank you. All right, let's see if there's any other comments over here. There are not. So, are you struggling with sleep, you guys? There's a lot of things that will interfere with your sleep, and when you don't sleep well, you don't feel well, you're mentally not as strong, you're physically not as strong, and physiologically, bad sleep is almost like eating a bad diet. So are you putting as much emphasis on your sleep as you are what you're putting in your mouth, as you are working and moving your body? Because if you're not making your brain happy by getting good sleep, getting that REM, getting that deep sleep that will restore a lot of the mental capacities, a lot of the physical capacities in the body, if you're not doing that, then you're going to suffer consequences in your health. Dolly says, bad sleep makes you have a propensity to be a type 2 diabetic. It really does, because the studies that are out there, and you can look up this research, I'm not just making this up. Go look up the research of just 1 or 2 or 3 nights of really bad sleep. They have found it does make the person insulin resistant. And of course, if that keeps happening over time, you can't stay insulin resistant without it moving you straight for type 2 diabetes. So yeah, it actually can. And that's a shocker for a lot of people, because they think diabetes is just about your diet, and it's not about anything else. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, if you want to engage live in the content, go follow me. I'm over on Instagram at Living Low Carb Man, LivinLowCarbMan. Once you are there, engage live. We do this Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. sometimes, and sometimes here on the weekends. Generally on the weekends, if I try to do one Saturday or Sunday, it's around 2 p.m. Eastern time if you want to watch. We also simulcast over on my Facebook page. So thank you guys for being here today, as well as on YouTube Live. So thanks to everybody in the family of Jimmy Rants who watches the show. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours right here on Instagram. But after that, poof, it disappears. You'll need to go over to JimmyRants.com. It's the official website for this show. Some people have been asking lately, how can we support you? You do all this good content for us. How can we help you? So over at JimmyRants.com, we have a Patreon page link. So click on the Patreon link, and you can definitely donate to the cause if you get good benefit out of what you see here. We also post all the past episodes over on YouTube in archived form. So type in a keyword Jimmy Rants and you will find the show. So guys, that's it for now. Until next time, we'll see you then. Alrighty.